I just gotta say, I am glad to live in a university that reminds me of one of my favorite movies of all time. Oh, Jurassic Park. If you're one of my best friends, or even if you know me well, you know that I love Jurassic Park. I own the movie on DVD and Blu-ray. I have a poster hanging up in my dorm. I have that little statue from the Blu-ray set. And before I started reviewing movies, I've had a few videos involving the Jurassic Park ride at Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal's Islands of Adventure in Orlando. So now I'm going to actually talk about the movie that spawned all that. Based off of possibly Michael Crichton's most famous novel, Jurassic Park is about an island off the coast of Costa Rica. Billionaire John Hammond, played by Richard Attenborough, has a dream to create a theme park that consists of biologically engineered dinosaurs that are brought back after 65 million years of extinction. He invites three scientists, Dr. Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, Dr. Elise Adler, played by Laura Dern, and Dr. Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum, to basically give their opinion on the theme park. But when a greedy employee shuts down all the power around the area, the dinosaurs run loose and our main characters, including Hammond's two grandchildren, are stuck on the island trying to survive. So Jurassic Park is one of those movies that, A, makes me feel old because it came out 20 years ago, and it's one of my favorite movies from my childhood. And it's one of those movies that if you asked me what my favorite movie of all time is, I can't give a definite answer at all, which is why I'm making those top 10 per genre lists. But Jurassic Park would be one of those movies that would come close to one of my favorite movies of all time. I didn't see this movie when it came out in 1993 because, well, I was 2 years old then, and probably would have shit my pants. I was just as blown away by the special effects as anyone was who saw that movie when it came out. For the longest time, my only way of seeing dinosaurs was through animation, like The Land Before Time, or through little robotic toys like Prehysteria. Yeah, I liked some dumb shit when I was a kid. And those at all weren't completely believable. So being able to see what was basically living, breathing dinosaurs was amazing and also scary. I saw this movie around the same time The Lost World came out in VHS, and while I wasn't as scared as I was when I first saw Jaws, this movie is pretty terrifying at points. Even if some moments are a little corny, like Samuel Jackson's arm, for example. I think the scariest parts of the whole movie has to be the raptors. I mean, the T-Rex is pretty terrifying at points, but the raptors are scary just because they're as big as you, they're faster and smarter, and that scene with Lex and Tim in the kitchen with the two raptors is pretty intense. Although I will say the most intense scene in this movie I think has to be the Jeep chase with the T-Rex. So obviously the special effects are the main point of this movie that people remember it so much. But I think the characters and story are just as good also. I know a lot of critics back then didn't give too much credit to the characters, except for Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm, who admittedly is the most interesting character in the movie. But I think the other characters in the movie are pretty good also. I mean, to be as memorable as the characters from, say, Jaws, it's not going to happen, but they're not bad characters. I mean, they're not boring. You don't hate them. They're likable. As for the story-wise, it basically is Spielberg's monster movie. But because it's Spielberg, who by that point was already an established director, he turned what sounds like a B horror movie into a A-list movie, and one of the best ones made. And then there's the soundtrack. The Jurassic Park score is something that is just not as iconic as Jaws or E.T., but just as good, and I think the theme, along with the Harry Potter theme, was probably the last great theme that John Williams ever composed. because, I mean, I could listen to the theme for a long time, and the fact that UC Santa Cruz is basically a forest surrounding a college, or a college in a forest, you can play the Jurassic Park theme anywhere there, and boom, you're back in Jurassic Park. It's that effective. So, I mean, what else can I say about the movie that hasn't been said in its 20-year life cycle? It's one of those movies that the more I watch, the better it gets. I'm able to appreciate more things. It's just all around a really, really great movie. I mean, I don't think I'll be able to let go of it when I'm old and cranky. It's going to be one of those movies that's real close to me. So, I mean, if you don't know by now, my rating is to just get off your ass and go see it now. As for the 3D, this movie was re-released in 3D, post-converted 3D, and I'm not usually against post-conversion 3D. I feel like the best kind of 3D is organic, when you shoot it in 3D. But given that this was a movie that was made 20 years ago, maybe there was something that could be done with the 3D. And let me say, this was probably one of the best, no, the best post-converted 3D movie I've ever seen. I didn't see the post-conversion for Titanic, which I heard was good, but I heard that Spielberg chose this specific company to post-convert Jurassic Park into 3D because they converted Titanic so well. Again, from what I've heard. How good is the 3D, you may ask? Well, let me give you an example. In the scene when Grant and the kids are sleeping in the tree and the Brachiosaurus comes in to eat the leaves nearby, there are vines hanging down from the tree, and I'm like trying to move them out of the way, and I'm like, oh wow, that's some pretty good 3D. There's also that scene when the T-Rex is chasing the Jeep and it smashes into that log. Little bits and pieces of the log flew out at the screen. I don't know if they like added some stuff for the 3D gimmick, or if they just really fixed up that part of the movie, but whatever the case, it was pretty effective. So, I mean, I recommend you check it out in 3D if it's still playing. If not, then you could buy the Blu-ray, but if you want to see it in the theater and don't want to pay the $3 surcharge, you might be lucky enough to find a 2D screening, because the local theater in downtown Santa Cruz, they showed Jurassic Park in 2D, but only once a day. But I decided to pick the 3D version because I was curious to see how it would look in 3D. And because I'm a Jurassic Park nut already. So, I mean, that's it. That's my review for Jurassic Park. That's my note on the 3D re-release, if you consider to see it. And with that said, this has been The Cinemas with AlexG8462. Leave a comment if you've seen the movie. Let me know your thoughts on it, and I will see you guys later. Bye.